Now, people have been going a little bit kooky the other day about this. Somebody said to me yesterday, I should have watched it. And I was like, this is Fox News. Fox News stinks. Okay. But anyway, this is apparently very bizarre. So it's called AntiWork Reddit mod versus Fox News host. Okay. So it's basically your, what is it called? Your incel, communist versus your Chad capitalist. Okay.
Over 1.6 million subscribers. And joining me now is the person who operates this AntiWork.
What great. I mean, let's just see if we can find better audio of this. Let's see. Maybe there's better audio. There is not. Okay. All right. Let's do it.
Work group, Doreen Ford. All right. So Doreen, why do you like the idea of being home, not working, but still getting paid by corporate America?
Hey, listen. It's awesome. I don't get paid by corporate America, but let me tell you, being home and not doing a lot of work is amazing. I'm sorry. Don't mean to brag. It's phenomenal. That's why people stay on welfare services, bro. Because, why? Honestly, bro. You got people at the top taking advantage of the system. You know, everybody's trying to get their bag. You know? It's not right, but it is what it is. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So there's some misconceptions about the movement. So we're a movement where we want to reduce the amount of work that people feel like they're forced to do. And so we want to still put in effort. We want to put in labor, but we don't want to necessarily be in a position where we feel trapped. You know, you just quoted from Office Space where that person feels very trapped in their job.
Well, it makes sense to reduce work hours. I mean, we're getting to a point where we probably could reduce work hours. We can increase employment and reduce work hours. But, you know, because we do have technology offsetting a lot of positions, we're creating a lot of low-skilled labor, but we also, we don't really need to work as much as we used to. So the fewer jobs that are available could be, allow us to actually have more jobs, but with fewer hours, if that makes sense. You know, it's like, instead of having the average work week be 40 hours, maybe it should be 25, or maybe it should be 30 or 35. I don't really know. There's no absolute prescription. But, you know, technology is supposed to exist to make our lives easier. It seems to be working in a way that makes the lives of people up at the top easier than anything else.
I think we're calling for a society where there's less of that. But yeah,
Probably.
Absolutely, people still want to do things. They just want to do things where they feel rewarded and they feel like they're in a good spot in their life, and that their job respects them and stuff like that. You know, there's varying.
So Doreen, but you're not being forced to work. This isn't slave labor. You've applied for a job. You've agreed to the terms and conditions of the employment, and you know you can walk away from that job at any time and quit. So,
well, it's not necessarily true. I mean, I understand that, you take a job that you want to do, but it's a little more complicated than that. You can't necessarily just go up and quit your job. I mean, there's a lot of stuff there, you know, because you obviously have to work, which is a good thing. And we got to work, I got to contribute, but, you know, sure.
I don't understand really what this is about, except it sounds like maybe people are just being lazy. Are you encouraging people to be lazy?
So I think laziness is a virtue in a society where people constantly want you to be productive 24/7, and it's good to have rest. That doesn't mean you should be resting all the time or not putting effort into things that you care about. But I think one of the
what do you think is a good work day? How many hours is you know, a solid work day in your ideal society?
Sure. I mean, I think as much as people want. I mean, I personally work. I have like a 20-25 hour work weeks, which I think is fairly good. So I would like less work hours.
And what do you do?
Why are people clowning on this video?
Doreen?
I'm a dog walker.
A dog walker. Okay.
Yes.
And how?
Yeah. So
I mean, this person obviously is an underachiever.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure, I'm 30.
You're 30.
Wow, he looks like shit. No, the way he looks. If they tell me he looks like shit, that's mean. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said before, man, with technology, we should be able to reduce our work week, generally speaking. It's not like a bad thing. The problem is mixing between like people who are underachievers versus like, you know, when it comes to that, I guess this guy's just an underachiever who just seems like he never tried, but you know.
Okay. And is there something you want to do besides being a dog walker? Do you aspire to do anything more than dog walking, or is that kind of your pinnacle?
Somebody said this is because they genuinely sent him as the absolute best person to explain this. This is their best, huh? Holy moly. Incredible. He's not doing that bad of a job, though, I feel.
I love working with dogs. If I had to do this for the rest of my life, you know, I wouldn't be super complaining. You know, dogs are wonderful animals. But I would love to teach. I would love to, work with people and stuff like that.
What would you teach, Doreen?
Philosophy mostly. Just introduction to philosophy, critical thinking, reason, stuff like that.
Yeah, philosophy is fucking for nerds, bro.
Okay. Well, I would love to take your class, Doreen. I would just be taking notes the whole time. And you know what? A professor's a very similar schedule than something that you're imagining. So I think that actually might work perfectly for you. Listen, I think this might not be the greatest idea, but who am I to judge? To each their own, they say. It's a free country.
Sure.
Not everything's free, you know, but it is a free country. Thank you so much. Sure. We got to run.
What was so bad about that video? Why are people clowning that though? Because it wasn't really that bad. Why are people shitting on that video? What's the thing that I'm not understanding here? Popular anti-work subreddit goes private after awkward Fox News interview. Okay, all right, we're here to discuss ways of reform exploitative labor systems and I'm gonna say it over pan. Okay, whatever. Wow, I love that there's exclusively ads on your fucking page. It's awesome. Reddit's freaking out on him because they voted on him not doing the interview, and the mod took it onto himself. Oh, so they asked him not to do it, and he did it. But why? Why are people clowning it? I'm just trying to understand. That wasn't that bad. Let's see the turmoil. Blah 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 blah. The interview, which is done against the advice of done against the advice of other moderators and members of the subreddit, forced AntiWork to shut down for a period of time to save off a backlash. Stave. The interview consisted of Waters actively attempting to discredit the moderator, Doreen Ford, and the AntiWork movement at large. The interview with Ford was a remote interview on Waters' new show. Blah 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 blah. It was titled Reddit thread, "Work is pointless, humiliating." Okay. The anti-work movement has been simmering for years, but boiled over in COVID-19, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Capitalism's bad, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. There's a lot of growth. There's a lot of members. 900,000. The subreddit gained a variety of... Okay, blah, 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 blah. There are some misconceptions about the movement for it. Okay, we want to still put in effort. We want to put in labor. We don't want to necessarily be in a position where we feel trapped. These are... I don't really understand what the problem is. I don't really get it. Why are people clowning on this video? I don't, okay, so I understand why, like, capitalists are, or like, Fox News is misrepresenting the movement. But I don't understand why it seems like everybody's, like, shitting on it. Like, at one point he said laziness is a virtue or something like that. No, not really. At one point he mentioned that, like, we talk about, like, laziness. He was just saying, like, oh, the virtue of laziness. Like, what I got out of it is what he was really saying was, like, you know, we talk about laziness comparatively, right? So, like, oh, I'm lazy because I only work 25 hours a week. But, like, you know, that's only because we compare it to a 40-hour-a-week work week. Bro, I work 25 hours a week. Are you fucking kidding me? I'll stream maybe, let's say I stream 7 days a week. Maybe sometimes. Maybe 3 or 4 hours a day. And then I edit my videos. Not a whole lot of effort. And I make thumbnails. So let's say I work 25 hours a week. I'm not exactly fucking ball busting. I hang out with my wife. I work out. I might make workout content as I get stronger. But, like, nobody would call me lazy. Now, I did work a real job for a long time, so I have the values of work ethic. Like, I could go back into the workforce like that, and I do have, like, a very strong work ethic. But nobody would sit here and be like, oh, Papa Gut's lazy. I mean, I guess because this is a 30-year-old underachiever. But, like, still, fundamentally, I don't disagree. We have technology displacing jobs and driving down wages more than anything else. We have technology that's supposed to be beneficial to everybody by making things cheaper and more effective and causing us to have to work less. But most of that money is going to the top. It would be better if we took that wealth and tried to redistribute it in some capacity. That's why I'm a really big UBI guy. it just seemed like he didn't say anything necessarily wrong. I mean, he didn't give you an in-depth analysis into what he was talking about because it's a little bit of a complex issue. It would have been good if he talked about technology and how like technology should be implemented to make people have to do less work, but overall, it hasn't necessarily done that. It's actually just caused people in low-skilled labor jobs to have to compete with fucking machines that don't need healthcare because it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? So like that's really what the problem is that we have a lot of low-skilled labor jobs that are remaining competitive with technology. So that like, and how do you make low skill labor jobs competitive with technology? Well, like for bigger businesses, it's very, very difficult because they could say, I might take $100,000 or $500,000 loss this year, but it will cut my labor costs in half, let's say. So it's a great investment. So what do? Less worker protections just so that people can keep their jobs rather than figuring out a better way to value workers more, right? People can't compete with technology. That's why we're talking about an implementation of a universal basic income, because there's some jobs that are never going to disappear, or there's like some jobs that will be created from new technologies, but ultimately it's going to cause like fewer jobs to be available for people. So you have to be creative about it. How are you creative about it? That solution is UBI. My point is what he's saying isn't like inherently wrong. So I'm not really sure what the fuck is going on here. Why are people upset about this? Is there like a video about people? Like, I don't know, how the fuck did he get a 51-minute video? I'm not that interested in a 51-minute video about this. Why is this subreddit under fire? Okay, let's do a little different. Let's do very credible source and no ordinary gamers. I'll rather watch this. I don't feel like getting into these stinky politics, guys. Ew, you guys stinky like poop. Wow, real mature stream today.
August 14, 2013 was the day.
I like the idea of being home, not.
Oh, it was awesome. Okay.
When the AntiWork Reddit board was found. Yesterday, precisely at some point in the evening, the AntiWork Reddit board died. Slightly. It actually went into complete, utter lockdown, simply because a Reddit moderator went on national television. Now, I wish I always love stories of when a Reddit gets in like bad hot water. So to understand what actually happened, for those of you who don't know what AntiWork is, AntiWork was a Reddit board that was basically associated with the anti-work movement. Now, initially, like,
oh really? You know what the dog walking Reddit was about? Dog walking. Okay, interesting.
Most green text readers like me, I actually believed it was. I actually believed this story for a long time. Goes on to subreddit. There's a sub that's growing fast called r/AntiWork. It's literally fast food employees saying they deserve $50 an hour for pressing buttons all day. One person wanted $200 per hour because that's how it was in the 50s. I don't even think it was like that in the Looney Tunes during the 50s, but okay. Everyone else just doesn't want to work at all and thinks working at all is against their human rights. Complains there are poor people in America, even though being poor still means you have cable, smartphone. Wow, I'm really Indian. Food and usually internet, which, these are basic things. I don't think they necessarily evoke happiness or take you out of the poverty line. The fuck is this?
Some of those things are becoming, like, specifically a smartphone is unfortunately becoming more like of a necessity now to remain competitive just as a person, you know? For the most part. I mean, there's a lot of jobs you could do with that, and you could use a flip phone, though. You know, like, fuck, you're probably better off, honestly, staying off the fucking internet.
Is this a sub the epitome of wagey cope? Nobody on this sub has a meaningful job. Seriously, the most respectable occupation from someone on that sub was a bartender.
Yeah, this, to me, this kind of, like, shows that there's a little bit of, like, deep-seated bullshit here. The most respectable job is a bartender. It's like, here's one of the things I don't think people understand. In New York, I would say that fast food jobs are probably more for kids than adults. But even in New York, if you've ever gone there, there's a lot of older people working there. My mom used to work for White Castle, and like a lot of the employees were like a lot of older people, especially from other countries that came here to look for a job. There's a lot more people working in these low wage jobs that are doing them as careers. And we do have the money to treat them better. Like, it's one of those things, like, they don't deserve, who cares? Like, let's just take a step back and we talk about deserving is very much a subjective thing. If we have the resources to treat people better, explain to me why we shouldn't. And instead, what we should do is funnel it to the top for people to have where they don't need that money. I'm not saying rich people shouldn't be rich. Like, listen, if you're fucking doing something crazy, you deserve more money than a fast food worker. But who's to say the fast food worker doesn't deserve dignity. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's weird. So like that's kind of dripping through of like, oh, it's not a respectable job. Do you not respect fast food workers? Is my question. I do. Why wouldn't you respect fast food work? This is one of the things that like we need to learn is like empathy for fast food workers are workers too. Like they're people. You know, some of them are young and they're just doing it for money. Some of them are old and they're also doing it for money, but they need it. It's they're literal, they'll die if they don't have it. You know, it's just bizarre, bro. It's just a little weird that we're all. I really don't understand. Somebody asked, why are we still talking? Why are we talking about this guy? Like, why is everybody talking about this guy? I don't understand it. I really don't get it. I really don't get it. Yes, some fast food workers are assholes for no reasons. But as we saw the smoothie video, some fucking CEOs are also assholes. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's a fucking asshole. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's, you know, and you're kind of an asshole for just assuming that a fast food worker is a bad person just because they're a fast food worker. You know? These are people who work more than I do, and, you know, you don't call, I mean, I am an asshole, but...
Now, to understand, okay, like most green tech stories, a little bit of a gross oversimplification. To understand, okay, I've been a wage cuck since I was a small little boy, okay, like 16 years old when you were legally allowed to be a little like wage cucky, all right, like a wage cuck.
I started working at 12, bro. I started working at 12 years old. I'd go to work with my mother, and I'd help her out. And I'd also work at my uncle's deli. A real man starts working when their genitals drop. You know what I mean? I'm not even kidding though. I did start working when I was young. Honestly, unironically, we might need to want like bring back a little bit of child labor. Hear me out. Obviously not the dangerous stuff. But if a young 14-year-old kid wants to work at like an easier job, maybe he wants to like take orders at a cash register or something, why not? It teaches a kid work ethic. If no one else wants to do the fucking job, why not? You know? I'm just saying. People are like, oh, they could be abused. There's a lot of worker laws implemented for young kids, which is a good thing. They should. You know, you mean when you were 12 looking up porn on your mom's work computer? Yeah, that's what I mean, bro. That was a lot of work. I was putting in work on my dick, if you know what I'm saying.
Junior, I was in the world of retail. Okay, I got diddled hard. I got shitty hours. I got shitty pay. And frankly, it was just not worth it. It was slightly just under the threshold for child labor. Okay, that's just how I did it. Now, of course, throughout my life, I got better jobs. I worked my ass off. I grinded. I used whatever I could to pull myself out of bad situations. And I've been at the higher end and I've been at the lower end. And I can tell you right now, I'm not opposed to having better conditions. You know, when I was growing up, in the days of my youth, my teacher said, treat people how you want to be treated. And if paying somebody that works 45 hours a week for you, you know, some decent, like, you know, salary or pay, just so they can afford to have a decent quality of life is something that I grew up, you know, being told, and it's something that I believe can still happen. And that's basically...
It's called the golden rule, guys. Fucking learn it. You want to know why the classrooms have the golden rule on the ceiling in there? Because kids are assholes, like we were talking about in our last segment.
What the anti-work movement is actually really about. You know, it's people trying to get, like, better conditions for their workplaces, especially during the last 2 years when, like, god damn, everyone's been diddled up the ass when it comes to work. You know, that's basically the general thing, but I'm going to stop the whole preachy stuff right now.
Well, that's what kind of happens, man. Especially when we hit a recession, that's when things get worse, and like in a weird way, because like technology has been slowly displacing jobs and driving down wages. But like every about 10 years, and we do hit like a recession in some capacity for some reason, and every single time it happens, it bumps the technology issue faster because a lot of bigger companies, they lay off a bunch of people. They realize they may not necessarily need as many people doing what they have them doing, and they can offset it with technology. And so every recession that we hit, it just fucks things up. It's like a bump in the road. It like hits you hard. You know, it's not good.
Because frankly, we got to get to the real hilarious part of the situation. Now, when the anti-work Reddit board was created, all right, when the anti-work movement basically kicked up, there was something that was known as the Great Resignation. Now, this doesn't sound as cool as what I want to put it up on paper, but frankly, you started to see a bunch of text messages from people who are basically going up to their boss and saying, you know what, chief? You can suck a dick! All right, that's basically what it was. Now, again, the validity of some of these screenshots that people were sharing, questionable, but I kind of wanted to read it. So here's one like, hey, Becky canceled on Saturday. I'll need you to come in and cover for the amount of times I got a text like that. Ooh, that's not my problem. Saturday is my day off, and I've been working 8 days straight and really need it. God damn, 8 days? Shit. Which to the employer's like, I'm sorry, we're short-staffed, I need you. I'm not coming in, so... You have to! I'll see you Saturday! No, you won't make me. I'm not coming in, you can't. You sure you want to do this? You really want to put your health insurance on the line? What are you going to do, fire me? I know you're short-staffed, and then blah, blah.
This seems a bit scripted, but okay.
It's all just bartenders here, okay? They're short-staffed, they don't want to show up. I don't accept that type of attitude, last chance!
What the fuck is this? What is this skit that's going on?
I'll see you Saturday and I won't see you again. To which they're like, I had enough of your bullshit. Now, of course, there were more texts right over here. Coincidentally, another bartender. There's a lot of bartenders on that sub. And we're going to talk about this attitude when you come in Sunday. No, we're not. Bartenders are needed all over the place. I think I'll just go work at one of the other dozens of places hiring. I'm fed up with you. Well, give me a call. Don't make such an impulsive decision. You're making a mistake because you're drunk and you think it's a good idea. When you wake up tomorrow, you're going to regret this. Eat my asshole. Ooh, spicy. And then here's another meme that I like. A virgin hard worker, graduated from college and now has to work. You know, this is literally, I was a wage cuck like this, dude. They put me in the wage cage 9,000 and I was stuck in there just grinding away. To which you got the Chad time thief who makes memes on company time, but also does not snitch on other people, okay? Also, this person says they had a master's in computer science and they never written a line of code. The amount of people that lie on their fucking resumes is insane. Now, again, it really didn't help when you had, like, a subreddit for those who want to end work, are curious about ending work, want to get the most out of a work-free life, want more information on anti-work ideas. It's very much like, you know, teetering on the edge of making it look like it's just a bunch of lazy people sitting on the internet. And that wasn't exactly how it was, but don't get me wrong, it's kind of how it was a little hijacked. Now, of course, the sub has been locked down. Nobody's able to access it anymore. In fact, we're closed while we deal with the cleanup from the ongoing brigading. Now, the epicenter of why this board actually was locked down was because of a Fox News interview where, like, one of the moderators for the AntiWork board actually went on. Now, from what I understand, they had like this general agreement, like, please don't go on national television and make an ass of yourself. Because when it goes time to like any of these like national news networks, especially like Fox News, we all knew from a mile away they were setting the fucking claymores down. They had the.
It wasn't even that bad. I don't really understand. Like it was a very like he didn't really press him in any I forget what the guy's name was, but the guy didn't even press the moderator. Like he thought he did. He thought he was like hitting him with zingers. Like he's like, "Oh, you're a dog room." He just laughed and like was very like an asshole. I don't know, man. I'm surprised people are melting down over this.
One-man Army Pro, Modern Warfare 2, 99 claymores and a grenade launcher to go on this one. They did not care. So they got the Jesse Waters, basically one of the hosts on here, the anchor people, and they pit one of the moderators. Now, what you're about to witness is a literal snuff movie. I don't even know how this is on YouTube without actually being taken down. But let's go watch it real quick.
And, you know, you can...
I'm just going to get through this. We watched it already. I genuinely just don't understand how this was like...
Except it sounds like maybe people are just being lazy.
So already you can see right now, this is basically all you have to see in this entire like piece. This one moment, okay? This is like, if I had to like National Geographically explain what was happening, the fucking tiger is waiting to pounce on its prey, okay? He's already dropped the lazy bomb right here, okay? He's already dropped it. To which you're about to witness the one line that killed an entire Reddit board within the fraction of a second. This is 3 minutes of a TV interview that basically destroyed an entire Reddit board. Listen to this one.
So I think laziness is a virtue in a society where...
Why is this so funny to people?
Destroyed an entire Reddit board. Listen to this one.
So I think laziness is a virtue in a society where...
Laziness is a virtue. That's basically all you had to hear to basically kill the goddamn board right there. Now, initially, Jesse asked this person what their like work week is.
Wait, why didn't you just finish that clip? I feel like I have to go to that now specifically.
Over 1.6 million subscribers. Joining me now is the person who operates this anti-work group, Doreen, being forced to work. This isn't...
People still want to do trapped, you know, put in labor. They're forced to some misconceptions about the movement. So we're a movement where we want to reduce the amount.
So Doreen, why do you like the idea of being home, not working, but still getting paid by corporate America?
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. People still want to do things. They just want to do things where they feel rewarded and they feel like they're in a good spot in their life and that their job respects them and stuff like that. You know, there's varying.
So Doreen, you're not being forced to work. This isn't slave labor.
I'm trying to understand.
You've agreed to the terms and conditions of the employment, and you know you can walk away from that job at any time and quit. So I don't understand really what this is about. Except it sounds like maybe people are just being lazy. Are you encouraging people to be lazy?
So I think laziness is a virtue in a society where people constantly want you to be productive 24/7, and it's good to have.
So I guess people are honing in on he's trying to say that like laziness is a virtue in like a positive way. It sounds more like what he's saying is that like laziness is just something is to an extent like a kind of socially constructed. Like laziness is really open to interpretation. And in a society of 40-hour work weeks, so 25-hour work weeks would be considered lazy. And he's just saying that like that's just shouldn't be the case. I don't know why people are dog shitting, like just dogpiling this kid for this.
Have rest. That doesn't mean you should be resting all the time or not putting effort into things that you care about. But I think one of the
what do you think is like a good work day? How many
I don't understand why people are shitting themselves.
And to which they're...
Yeah, I understand that a virtue is a behavior showing my high moral. I think that's where people are melting down. But I feel like I don't know. It's bizarre to me that people are are misinterpreting this so heavily. I think that he just misspoke because he spoke about, he's like, I think that laziness is a virtue in a society that generally advocates for people to work harder. I interpreted it as him just making a point about how we shouldn't have to work as hard.
Yeah. Lazy? So I think laziness is a virtue in a society where people constantly want you to be productive 24/7, and it's good to have rest.
I guess so. I guess what he's saying is like laziness is a good thing in a society where they're trying to have you work 24/7. Yeah, I mean, I still understand what he's saying. It's just not a good word. He probably could have worded it better. He could have said like, yeah, laziness is relative. I think that we're working too hard as a society and that we should overall try to reduce the number of work hours because we have incredible technological advancements that haven't helped the common man. That's what he I think that's what he meant to say. Like that's a reasonable. That just sounds like what he meant to say. I feel like people are shitting on this weird point. Like it's bizarre.
They reply that it's somewhere around like 20 to 25 hours. And when Jesse asks them what their job is, they actually respond with one of these.
And what do you do, Doreen?
I'm a dog walker.
A dog walker. Okay.
Yes.
Now, one of the smugness of Jesse actually kind of gets to me. There's nothing wrong with being a dog walker. Clearly, there's some people that are too busy to walk their dog, so having that, as a service isn't necessarily too bad.
Whatever
now,
works,
to understand, I don't believe that dog walker is necessarily the most strenuous job, and I think working 20 to 25 hours a work week actually isn't a full-time work week. Last I checked, when I worked a full-time work week, that shit was like 40 to 45 hours.
You notice when he said that when he worked one, this is one of the things that kind of bothers me. If we have the ability, the capacity, and the technology to implement lower work weeks, why aren't we? This is one of those things where you look at a dog walker. Oh, you only work 25 hours a week? Your job is easy. Bullshit. But look at a content creator. Everybody loves content creators. We don't work a lot. He doesn't work a lot. He basically admitted it just there with the way that he talked about it.
Work week. Last I checked, job, and I think working 20 now hours a work week actually isn't a full-time work week. Last I checked, when I worked a full-time work week, when I worked a full-time work week,
it was a lot. Like, yes, it is not a work week, but like maybe we should lower the work week. Why is this a privilege only afforded to some people? I understand that some things not everybody can do. Not everybody can be a fucking content creator. I get it. But I mean, like, what the fuck? I don't know. I don't like the subtextual argument that like we're hard workers. This shit's fucking easy, bro. And I know other people put more effort into their videos. His videos are more edited than mine. They don't seem particularly difficult, and that's not an insult. Good for you, bro. Like, make your money. But like, I don't know if we should be advocating for lower work weeks and less stress for your average person if it's possible. And I think that it is. At the very least, we could have a conversation about it.
It was like 40 to 45 hours. 20 hours is kind of like part-time-ish. Okay, that's where we get into.
Yes, right now it is considered part-time, and he seems to be generally advocating for a lower full-time hours.
When you hear condescension like that,
yeah, a lot of videos can take up to weeks to make. Absolutely, for sure. Some videos can be very difficult. Absolutely. This one not so much. Mine definitely not. Like, let's obviously, And then there are videos that take a lot of effort. It really depends on the person. It depends on who they are, and then it depends on the editor. But in a lot of videos, when people let's say somebody puts like a week of effort into a particular video, and then it makes like 1 million views, it offsets. So like, yeah, you might have took like, might have taken you a lot of effort to put into it. Payoff is really big. So you don't necessarily have to work the full 40-hour work week. I'm just saying, it does depend on the person, but like obviously. Like he had expressed, he doesn't work a 40-hour. I don't work a 40-hour. You know what I'm saying?
That it's already time to get the hell out of there. At this point, there was like no question being asked. Jesse had found himself a lamb willing to go right to the slaughter.
Just be super complaining. Dogs are wonderful animals. But I would love to teach. I would love to. Work.
I would have just said like, if you want to teach them, why don't you go back to work and like go back to college and get a teaching degree? Like, see, that's one of the things that I would have honed in on. Like, okay, you like to teach, then what are you doing to actually be a teacher? Well, nothing. You're being an underachiever. This I think is the biggest problem. Probably, this is an underachiever with nothing going on with him. That's the biggest problem. And so like that's probably the wrong person to be advocating for less work because it's like what is people just generally. And this is probably why people are melting down over it. People will generally respond more to people who align with society but speak out against it. So like if you have somebody who like this is why in all honesty. People don't like, especially other men, don't tend to listen to like more feminine men when it comes to having conversations about how there should be an acceptable space for feminine men. But if you talk to a masculine man, somebody who fucking goes adheres to society or whatever society's social construct as a masculine man saying like, hey, I do think that we should create a comfortable space for these people, all of a sudden people go, you know what? I respect you. You know what I'm saying? So I'll take that into consideration. That's probably the biggest issue. This kind of sounds like a little bit of an incel who never really was a very big working guy, probably doesn't have a particularly great work ethic, and who's an underachiever. Rather than somebody who like has gone through the shit. They used to work. Like, I used to work like 40 hours a week. Actually used to work like 2 jobs. Sometimes I do Uber on the side, shit like that. And obviously probably take me more seriously if I went into there. But
work with people and stuff like that.
What would you teach, Doreen?
Philosophy mostly. Just introduction to philosophy, critical thinking, reason.
You see, you're never gonna win when you got a face like that. You're never gonna win when he's like, teach. Let me know. This is like, oh, you're not winning. Now, to understand, this is like the example of like somebody being so anti-work, I guess, it did not work to even think about going on national television. Effectively, what had happened was Fox News brought this one moderator on, and let me be honest, I've worked in television long enough to know this was vetted way well in advance. They had like an entire team. Sure. They talked to this individual like, oh boy, we are gonna have fun with this one today.
Well, that's usually what they do. That's what all these businesses do. Is that like that's Fox News, CNN, that's what they all do. When you ever see somebody who like if you see conservative on Fox or progressive on progressive on Fox or conservative on like CNN, they try to find like the dumbest people that they could possibly find to make them look good by association, because they'll bring up like ridiculous points and they'll just say things that aren't like that'll make them look bad. And then you could be like, look, they are dumb. It's the same thing with all these male podcasts. They find women who are like, you know, not particularly intelligent on there to embarrass so that they look good by association.
And they brought them on national television and they made a fool of them, and because of this the entire board effectively got brigaded and shut down like we saw earlier. So this basically shows you if you're again, there was no like serious question being asked. He brought him on TV, basically made a fool out of him, basically completely made a fool out of this.
Yeah, a lot of debaters do that too, not just on TikTok Live though, all over the place.
Movement that a lot of people were cultivating for years to make legitimate, to really push some actual grievances along, and it took one Reddit moderator to fuck things up for an entire board. Now, of course, when you go on, there is an entire other subreddit, okay? There's other, Reddits that are work reform is one of them that actually is completely memeing on the situation. While this clip made it to the top of Reddit, this is one of the other posts that made it to the top of Reddit. For instance, this is a good example. I'll do the interview by myself, applying a little clown makeup. He might ask the hard questions, never did. I won't be prepared. I'm a dog walker.
I mean,
again, I don't want to say
you didn't ask him any hard questions.
Anything wrong with dog walking, but you could have gotten some better you could have gotten some more verse moderators on there. Seems like the person wanted 15 minutes of fame, and boy, did they get it. That's what I know. Now, again, I don't really want to jump too far into this because, frankly, I don't really go into like these super political topics because I'm not intelligent on any of that. But given my experience, all right, and reading the subreddit, because I used to go on it for a fair bit, reading a lot of those like great, resignment like text messages, whether they were real or not, always gave me a chuckle. And to basically see in the last 24 hours, one of my favorite little cute subreddits imploding on itself because of one Fox News 3-minute interviews, 180 seconds, was an absolutely baffling thing to see. Because this is what happens when a Reddit moderator goes on national television completely unprepared.
You would have been better off not having a mod do it and just having like a person do it that said that they were a mod and just be like, yeah, I'm an anti-work person. I work 40 hours a week at fucking whatever particular low skill labor job. It's a very stressful job. I feel like I'm underappreciated. We have technology that makes job like work easier. We should be feeling it at the bottom as well, but unfortunately all that money gets siphoned to the top.
He can, in fact, kill an entire subreddit with over 1.5 million users on it.
But I also feel like they're being way too sensitive about it. That's why they probably pulled it down to get away from.
Show you that if you're going to be thrown on a national television, be a little bit goddamn prepared next time. That being said, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it.
It wasn't bad. Well, not too bad. Okay, interesting stuff. I still don't really quite get it. I guess I do a little bit. I mean, he just wasn't a good representation of their cause, and people are having a meltdown, and they like to poke fun, and he looks like a fucking weirdo, so that's pretty much it. No offense to you, brother. If you're listening to this, I think you actually did a decent job. You just it's hard. It's really genuinely a very difficult thing to spread your message in a way that's as palatable as possible to as many people as possible. That's a very hard thing to do.